What happens when your wife says she is keeping her options open while swiping dating apps at your breakfast table? Do you beg her to stay, or quietly move out and let her find an empty apartment instead? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Noah, and the day my marriage died started with burnt toast and dating apps at our tiny kitchen table. I came off a 12-hour night shift feeling like a ghost, hoping for coffee, silence, and maybe a joke about our stupid leaky faucet. Instead, I sat down, and there she was, thumb sliding left and right over strangers' faces like she was flipping channels. She did not even hide the screen. She just chewed, scrolled, and told me she was keeping her options open, like she was talking about mobile plans, not husbands. I asked, as calmly as I could, what that meant for the option currently doing the dishes and paying the rent. She laughed, said it was just harmless fun, that everybody did it, that we had been stagnant for a while. I nodded, because apparently I was now a lake. Inside, something snapped in a quiet, clean way, like a cable pulling free. I finished my toast, swallowed the taste of cheap bread and humiliation, and told her it sounded smart. If the world was a store, who was I to stop her browsing? She smiled, relieved I was not making a scene, and went back to swiping. I watched the glow of the screen on her face and realized I was not even angry in the loud way. I was tired. Tired of being the safe background she stood in front of while she tried on new outfits for people online. When I left for work, I did not drive to the hospital. I parked in the lot, stared at the building, and called in a personal day. I said I was exhausted. That part was not a lie. Then I turned the car around and went back to our apartment with one simple goal. I would not fight for someone who treated me like a placeholder. I packed my clothes, my textbooks, my coffee mug with the chipped handle. I took the photo albums and left the framed prints she liked for guests. I moved fast and quiet, like any other night in radiology, clearing out the room before anyone woke up. By lunchtime, my life fit into a storage unit, and the keys to our place were sitting on the counter, next to her favorite scented candle. Options, I thought, work both ways. And by the time she came home, I planned to be nothing but a memory with a forwarding address. I spent the afternoon doing something I had not done in years. Nothing. No double shift, no overtime, no being the dependable guy who always covers. I sat on the edge of a cheap motel bed with floral curtains and a TV that hummed even when it was off, and let the quiet dig into my ears. My phone buzzed 3 times, 2 missed calls from Lena, 1 text asking where I moved our stuff and why the landlord said the lease was closed. I watched the notifications fade and decided she could figure that puzzle out without me for once. Eventually, habit pulled me back to my inbox. Bills, hospital memos, a reminder that my parking pass needed renewal. Then I saw a notification from the apartment app, the one for parcel deliveries and maintenance requests. It also linked to the front doorbell camera, a feature Lena had insisted on for safety and then forgot about. There was a motion clip from an hour after I left. I almost ignored it. Then I remembered she now lived alone with her options. I tapped play. The video loaded. There was our front door, the fake plant in the corner, the doormat she bought with the word welcome-ish printed on it. Then Lena appeared, dressed in the same top she had worn at breakfast, only with more makeup and less shame. She checked her phone, smoothed her hair, and stepped aside as a man walked into frame. Tall, tight shirt, gym bag slung over his shoulder. He leaned in for a quick kiss. She laughed, grabbed his arm, and they left together, heading out of frame like a perfect little advertisement for bad decisions. I watched it twice, not because I needed to see it again, but because I wanted to feel everything in slow motion. There it was. No excuses, no just friends, no, you are overthinking this. Just my wife and some fitness commercial with a jawline, using the same door I had just walked away from. If she had done this a week ago, I might have confronted her, shouted, begged, argued about trust and promises. Now, all I felt was a calm, cold line draw itself straight through my chest. She wanted options. I had just been promoted to evidence collector. The doorbell clip would have been enough for most people, I think. Most husbands would storm back, hammer on the door, drag everyone into a screaming match that neighbors would replay for months. I lay back on the motel bed instead and stared at the ceiling stain shaped like a question mark. I already knew she was cheating. What I did not know yet was how long she had been treating me like a backup battery. That was the part that itched. I opened her public profile first, not the carefully cropped grid she let the world see, but the tagged section she pretended did not exist. Friends at bars, influencer events, rooftop drinks. I scrolled until my thumb hurt. At first, it was normal social fluff, all filters and fake laughter. Then a pattern started to appear. The same man, always a little blurry at the edge of the frame, always wearing some branded gym shirt or showing off his arms in the background. A tagged story from last week sealed it. A rooftop bar downtown captioned, "Our girl Lena out here with her fitness king," with him standing next to her, shoulder to shoulder, like a prize. I checked the timestamp, checked the date, did the math against my shift schedule. Night shift, CT scans, coffee in paper cups while my wife experimented with royal titles at a bar. Cute. Rooftop bars are not really my scene. Too many lights, too many people who never look tired. That night, though, I put on a clean shirt, drove downtown, and told myself I was just going for a drink. The elevator opened, music spilled out, and there it was. The same bar from the story, the same hanging lights, the same smug energy. I did not see Lena right away. I saw him first. The fitness king, standing at the railing, laughing too loud, touching a woman's arm as if he was handing out blessings. Then I saw her beside him, leaning in, her face turned up toward his like the whole city existed just to hold them up. I walked to the bar, ordered something I could not pronounce, and sat with my back half turned to them. The bartender glanced at me, then at them, and asked if I was alone. I said yes. Inside, I thought, not for long. I did not plan a speech. I was not there to save a marriage or start a fight. I just wanted to see how brave they were when they thought I was nowhere near. From my seat, I watched them in the mirror behind the liquor bottles. He had one arm along the back of her chair, claiming space that used to be mine. She laughed at something he said, threw her head back, like she wanted to be seen by every phone in the room. The bartender wiped a glass and asked if I had a tab. I told him it was my first time there. He nodded toward Lena and the fitness king and said they were regulars. He said it with a smile, like it was cute. I said it must be nice for the bar, having loyal customers. Inside, I filed the word regulars away like a scan result. Once is an accident. Many times is a pattern. I kept my eyes on the mirror. At one point, she checked her phone, frowned, and then smiled. Probably saw the empty apartment notice from the landlord. Maybe she thought there had been a mistake. I lifted my drink to my own reflection and hoped she enjoyed her mystery. After a while, he stood up and headed to the restroom. I slid off my stool a few seconds later. I did not speed up, did not slow down. In the narrow hallway outside the doors, we met. He brushed my shoulder, looked me up and down, and gave the kind of half-smile men give when they think they own the room. He asked if I was all right. I said I was there to see what all the hype was about. He laughed and said the place got better on weekends. I said I would keep that in mind. For 1 second, I almost told him who I was. Then I saw it clearly, the way he walked, like every woman was a review he had already read. He did not look like a rival. He looked like a symptom. I went back to my drink, snapped a photo of their reflection in the mirror, and left a tip. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with another message from Lena asking where I was. I watched the floor numbers climb and decided she did not deserve the answer yet. Back at the motel, the ceiling stain still stared down at me like it had follow-up questions. I lay on the bed, fully dressed, and scrolled through the last 12 hours like they were someone else's security footage. Doorbell cam kiss, rooftop bar, bartender calling them regulars. My wife texting me like nothing had changed except the furniture. For a second, I wondered if I was the crazy one. Maybe this was normal now. Maybe marriages came with trial periods and free upgrades. Then I opened my rideshare app and watched that thought die. The account was still linked to the old address. I checked the history. My name on every charge, my card paying for trips I never took. One stood out. Last week, 11:48 p.m., pickup from that same rooftop bar, drop-off at our apartment. I checked my schedule. I was at the hospital that night, loading people into scanners while she loaded herself into a car someone else ordered on my profile. Perfect. She had not just cheated, she had done it on my dime. That little detail helped more than therapy ever could. I drove back toward the complex, parking a street away and killing the lights. This was the part in movies where the husband goes wild, pounds on doors, gets himself arrested. I rolled the window down, listened to crickets, and did the opposite. I waited. If they had a pattern, they would stick to it. Patterns are comforting, even when they are rotten. Around midnight, a familiar ride-share car pulled up in front of the building. I watched through the trees. The driver popped the trunk. Lena got out first, laughing, wobbling a little on heels she claimed she never wore anymore. Then he stepped out, fitness king himself, gym bag over his shoulder like a uniform. He said something that made her shove his arm playfully. She kissed him quick, right there under the porch light, then went inside alone. He headed toward the parking deck. I felt the anger rise, hot and sharp, but I pressed it down and turned the key. I pulled into the lot, parked near the deck entrance, and stepped out like I lived there again. The air smelled like exhaust and cheap laundry detergent. His footsteps echoed somewhere above me. I looked up at the concrete levels, at the thin metal railings, and told myself, this was not about catching him. This was about seeing exactly what kind of man she had traded me for, so I would never be tempted to take her back. I took the stairs instead of the elevator, because anger needs an outlet that will not get you arrested. The concrete steps were cold under my shoes, the kind of chill that climbs into your knees. I heard his footsteps above me, slow and heavy, like he owned the whole structure and everyone in it. By the time I reached the second level, I saw him, gym bag over one shoulder, phone in his hand, screen lighting his face. He walked like he was starring in his own commercial. I stayed a few car lengths back, pretending to unlock a random sedan. My heart pounded, but my hands were steady. I did not want to hit him. I wanted to see him, to really see the person she thought was worth burning a home for. He stopped near a dark SUV, dropped his bag, and leaned against the hood while he typed something. Probably a message to her, something smooth and forgettable. I raised my phone, pretended to check my own messages, and snapped a quick photo with the sound off. His license plate, his face, the building structure behind him. Boring, simple, real. He noticed the movement. His head snapped up. Our eyes met for the first time with no bar mirrors or crowd between us. He frowned, pushed off the hood, and started walking toward me. I stayed where I was. Every muscle in my body told me to move, but my pride glued my shoes to the floor. He asked if I was following him. His voice was sharp and just a little too loud, like he was used to winning arguments by volume alone. I said I was just heading to my car. He stepped closer anyway, invading my space with that chemical cologne and the faint smell of sweat. He looked at my phone, then at my face, and something clicked in his eyes. Maybe he recognized me from old photos. Maybe Lena had mentioned the boring husband. He gave my shoulder a quick shove, more insult than attack, and told me to mind my own business. I almost laughed. My own business was currently kissing him under my old porch light. Before I could answer, a security guard appeared at the end of the row, calling out to ask if everything was okay. I stepped back, lifted both hands a little, and said everything was fine. Fitness King muttered, grabbed his bag, and stalked off toward his car. I watched his taillights disappear into the street and felt something settle inside me. Now I had a face, a plate, a pattern, and a shove. I did not need revenge built on rage. I needed one built on proof. Back at the motel, I sat on the edge of the bed and scrolled through the photos on my phone like I was reviewing scans. Doorbell clip, rooftop story screenshots, his face in the parking deck, his car. If anyone ever accused me of overreacting, I wanted a neat little folder labeled Reasons. I made an album with that name and dropped everything in. It felt clinical, almost boring, which was exactly the point. No screaming, no broken plates, just data. Somewhere between image 3 and 4, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was not Lena. It was Maya. She asked if everything was okay because the HOA chat had gone weird. Apparently, someone had posted about a late-night gym bro drama in the parking deck and asked if security was enough. She said she figured it involved me and wanted to check in. I thanked her and said I was fine, just moving out. She replied that she was sorry and that people talked too much anyway. She was right. People talked, and my wife loved people who talked, which meant if there was a story about us, it was already being told by someone else. I opened my social apps again, not to stalk Lena, but to see the background noise. It did not take long. A mutual friend had posted a blurry shot from the bar, captioned with some joke about married people acting single. In the comments, a name stood out. Jenna, the coworker I had met twice, the one who always hugged a little too long and called me sweet, like I was a rescue dog. She wrote that some husbands could not handle strong women, and that Lena deserved better. No names, but everyone knew who she meant. I stared at the comment, then at her profile, then at the clock. Tomorrow, after my shift, I decided I would invite Jenna for coffee and ask her how strong she thought Lena really was. The old version of me would have tried to fix things with Lena directly, begged for counseling, made flowcharts about trust and communication. The man staring at the motel wall now knew better. She did not stumble into this. She had help. She had a chorus. If they wanted a story where I was the unhinged, jealous husband, I would stay calm enough to bore them and patient enough to let their own words bury them. The next morning, I set my alarm 2 hours earlier than my shift and booked a table at the cafe right across from Lena's office. If people wanted to treat my life like entertainment, fine. I would sell front row seats. I messaged Jenna, said I needed advice about how to support Lena better. She agreed so fast it was almost flattering. While I waited for her answer, Lena finally texted again, asking if I was done being dramatic. I stared at the screen, then typed back one line. We're just getting started, and this time, I would be the one writing the script.